three most important articles from today's The Hindu. This is the first one. If you read this article, what will you feel? Are you able to establish the connection between urbanization and health? This is something, the very core of this article. It is trying to establish a connection between urbanization and health. When we say urbanization could here mean basically three dimensions or three aspects, you can say. First one is your lifestyle. Second one is your food habit. And third one is the environment. And health basically relates to diseases, and the diseases discussed over here are obesity, hypertension, and diabetes. Usually it is held that these diseases are actually related to genetics, gene related. This is usually held, like if the parents have the disease, so the children will also be most probably be having. But this article actually, based on research, it says that no, only genes are not responsible. Very often, growing urbanization is also one of the reasons why there are increasing intensity of such kind of diseases, and why such diseases are mostly happening or increasing in the urban areas. How is urbanization related? So first one is lifestyle. What kind of lifestyle you are having, whether you are having a sedentary life or you are working for 8 to 10 hours sitting in a chair in your AC office, and there is a very minimal physical work. So lifestyle habits. Then there are food habits. What kind of food you are consuming, whether you are having a highly nutritious food or you are just having junk food or fast food. Environment is also related. The kind of air or water you are consuming, that also holds significance when it comes to human health. So this article is based on research. This research is actually still undergoing, and this research tells that urbanization is a major cause of these kind of health issues, these kind of diseases. How it reaches so? So the research was conducted on two sets of people. One set was living in urban areas, the other one was living in rural areas. Ironically, both factually what was the case was that both were having the same lineage, you can say. For example, the family was residing in rural areas, and a few of the members of the same family have migrated to the urban areas. Research was conducted on that kind of set of families. One part of the family is still residing in urban areas, the other part is still residing in rural areas, the other part migrated to urban areas. And the research was conducted within such set of families, and certain conclusions have been found out. Why? Because the food habits, the lifestyle, the food habits, and the environment of the family members residing in rural areas was entirely different from the members residing in urban areas. Because of this, what happened? The research found out that there was a change in the microbiome of the gut of urban partners. The family members who were residing in urban areas, their gut, you can connect the gut with the stomach. The microbiome, the kind of microorganisms living in the gut of the people of the urban areas, was totally different from those of the rural areas. They came out with two very important names, two bacteria, you can say. The first one they said is Megamonas, and the second one they said is Holde Manila. Pardon me if my pronunciation is wrong, but these are the two bacteria they have identified. The Megamonas is found in a larger quantity in the people residing in urban areas, and the Holdemonas found in larger quantity in people residing in rural areas. So here it is Megamonas is on larger quantity, and here it is Holdemanella is in larger quantity. What it means? Megamonas is a bacterium that is found in urban individuals, here it says, and it is linked worldwide to hypertension and raised blood glucose. So people residing in urban areas have more propensity, more inclination to having this bacteria in their gut, and because of this, there is more intensity of those people developing hypertension or diabetes. This Holdemanella bacteria is associated with fiber intake and glucose intolerance, and it is mostly found in rural areas because the food habit of people residing in rural areas is still quite traditional. They have natural food, vegetables, they have high fiber intake. Because of this, they have very good glucose tolerance level. So these two bacteria, the research identified these two bacteria, and based on this they said that because of the lifestyle, food habit and environment, the urban people are having more obesity, more hypertension and more incidences of diabetes. Now why this article is important to you is UPSC very often connects urbanization and globalization with health. So if UPSC asks you a question like how urbanization is related to health, or what could be the various factors that are that can be considered, that can be held responsible for the rising incidences of obesity and hypertension, then you can write about the lifestyle, food habits and environment. You can talk in terms of fast food, the food which are very less in fiber, less nutritious, which are junk food, and how these are like impacting the microbiome of the gut. And it is not just about the gene. So this is a very brief, you can say a very brief understanding of what this article was all about. Now we will move to another article. This article relates to the data center projects and how the government, how the people are protesting actually. So if you read this article, you will find out that the conflict over here is technology versus survival. Technology is very important. Without technology, advancement cannot happen, and if we are not adopting technology effectively, we might not be able to advance effectively, and our survival will ultimately be at risk. But this particular article highlights how the adoption of technology should be sustainable. It should be sustainable. And it should not be like without, and stakeholders, local stakeholders, they must be taken into confidence. If we are not taking local stakeholders, local residents in confidence, such adoption of technology will go against the spirit of actual survival. How? Because if it is not sustainable, then the resources will be eaten up very fastly. Proper analysis, proper studies required so that adoption of technology is sustainable. If you are not taking local stakeholders in confidence, then they will ultimately be suffering, and this suffering will have wide repercussions. This is the overall theme of this article. Now we will learn what this article is actually concerned about, which technology and what survival. So it is about data center projects. So data center projects, you know that when the AI is coming up, then it requires a lot of data centers. and processing. You must have studied, you must have known this, that AI consumes a lot of water for the cooling purposes of the servers or its database systems or data centers. So, two places in India, one in Andhra Pradesh near Vishakhapatnam, and the other one is in Maharashtra near Thane. So these two places actually some sort of data center is being proposed or being getting established in these two places. Okay, the residents have started to come up, started to protest against these two projects. Why they have started protesting? There one major concern, like why the protest? What are the concerns? Like this way we need to ask. So they are protesting because they feel that it will consume water and local resources. They say that these are residential areas, water is already in a scarce condition here, and if we put up such kind of data centers in such areas, water scarcity will deteriorate. This is one reason, water scarcity and resources. Then they say that they don't have proper data. Data driven policy is missing. They don't have proper data. They say that research was not properly conducted. What could be the benefits of such data center in that particular locality? Research has also not been conducted. How much, what amount of water, what amount of electricity, what amount of other resources these data centers will be consuming. So there is a lack of data, lack of facts, lack of research on these aspects, and without having such research, the projects have been given green signal. These are the two basic factors, two basic reasons. One more reason that they highlight is related to environment. They say that because of this, there are certain like Kambalakonda Eco Forest, Rambili Wildlife Sanctuary, Mudar Sarlova Reservoir. These are ecologically important, you can say, fragments, forest, wildlife sanctuaries. And if we established water guzzling systems, industries, data centers in such areas, not only the humans, but also the natural systems will be at risk. So these are the basic three reasons because of which there are protests going on against the data center projects. Now UPSC won't ask you like which are the places where data center projects are located. UPSC will ask you on a broader concept. How can adoption of technology be sustainable so that it does not impact the survivability of the local people and it does not harm adversely the environment? So connecting technology with survival, that is something, that interlinkage is something you should understand, and that makes this article very important. Now we will move to our next article that relates to something which has been in news, Ken-Betwa link project. It has been in news because we have seen about river interlinking project, you must be knowing. But what are the issues that have come up very recently is that people have started protesting against this Ken-Betwa link project. Now you should, again, this is again how you are conserving or how you are like utilizing the resources, or you can say there is a natural barrier using technology for human convenience. This article stands on broadly this kind of dimension. Natural barrier. What is the natural barrier? So naturally the system is that certain rivers have a lot of water and others river don't have that kind of water. Like there are water scarce regions, water scarce versus water surplus. Two kinds of rivers are existing in India, water scarce and water surplus. So long before in 1980s, you can say, government came up with something called NPP, National Perspective Plan. This National Perspective Plan, NPP, came up with the idea of linking the rivers. How to link? One river having surplus water should be linked with the river having scarce water. If you link this way, then the water from the surplus river will reach to the scarce region, and if it reaches, then the water demand of this region can be met and flood over this region can be minimized. So this was the overall objective of this National Perspective Plan, and a lot of interlinking projects have been proposed under this. And this plan is very old, 1980s. It has not come recently. Implementation of this program is still underway. It is still pending. And very recently, the Prime Minister inaugurated, or you can say laid the foundation, not inaugurated, laid the foundation of something called Ken-Betwa Link Project. This Ken-Betwa Link Project has basically three dimensions or three features. First one is linking of the rivers. So the Ken River is water surplus region, and the Betwa is water scarce region. So the water deficit of the Betwa can be fulfilled because of the water surplus from the Ken River. So linking of the rivers is one of the features of this project. Second feature is building of canals and tunnels so that water can be properly or effectively channelized and it can be reached for different purposes, can be used for different purposes like irrigation, like water, electricity generation. And the third one is obviously the hydro power generation and also solar power generation. Land will be utilized for solar power generation as well, and the dam that will be constructed, that can be used for hydroelectricity generation as well. So these are the basic three features of the river linking project. Now, what some important facts that you should remember is that, as I said, surplus water from the Ken River to the Betwa River. So if UPSC asks a question on this, UPSC may confuse you. UPSC will say that Betwa is the surplus and Ken is the scarce. So that statement will become incorrect. Actually, the water is flowing from Ken to Betwa. Ken is surplus region and Betwa is a scarce region. This you should understand. Then there is a dam that has to be constructed, that is being called Dhodhan Dam. This will be constructed. Canals and tunnels will be constructed. Hydropower, 103 megawatt of hydropower and 27 megawatt of solar power will also be generated. So the basic three features, and this is located in Madhya Pradesh. Broadly, it will be located in Madhya Pradesh. These are certain facts that you should remember. Now come to the very important fact, like this is the natural barrier. Nature has created that kind of river system that one river is having surplus water, the other river is having a scarce water. But for the sake of human convenience, we are trying to break this natural barrier so that human convenience can be met. Surplus water from this one river can be transferred to the water scarce region of the other river. For the sake of this convenience, what could be the various repercussions and what could be the various impacts. And that is the issue that you need to understand. So what are the various concerns or issues? What are the various concerns and issues related when the conflict of interlinkage like natural barrier versus human convenience comes up? The first major concern is that of rehabilitation and relocation. If you will build canals, if you will build reservoirs, if you will build some dams, then obviously the land will have to be acquired. Where will you build the dam? Suppose the river is flowing this way and you want to build a reservoir over here. River was naturally flowing like this, but you want to build a reservoir. In reservoir, water will accumulate, and to control the accumulated water, you need a proper space, and that huge space will always remain inundated by water. So, and people residing in those regions will need to be relocated or rehabilitated. Their livelihoods will be impacted, right? So particular region pe there are people residing over there, but you are trying to build a reservoir over there, you are trying to build different kinds of canals from that region. So where will people will go from there? They are having agricultural lands over there. It will remain inundated because of the reservoir. So reservoir will always be having the water, so the land will get submerged in water. So the first basic concern is rehabilitation and relocation and livelihood of the residents. The people who have been residing in that area since ages, their actual livelihood, their residence, their survival is at stake. This is the one major concern. Second concern is, even if you are rehabilitating or compensating them, compensation will be provided to them, compensation monetary terms, that we are taking your 1 acre of land, so we will provide you certain lakhs of rupees. That kind of compensation government provides. But even if you are providing the compensation to them, whether that compensation is sufficient, whether it actually reaches the beneficiary. Because in India, ghost beneficiary has been a very major concern since we started giving subsidies or started distributing money to the people. So actual beneficiary, whether the compensation is reaching the real beneficiary or whether ghost beneficiaries are appropriating that compensation. For example, here it highlights an issue where compensation is being offered, but the selection process of the compensation is such that several people who have no connection with the villages or have moved years ago have been included in the rehabilitation plan, while many genuine residents have been left out. So this directly connects to beneficiary identification. Beneficiaries need to be identified properly. That is one of the concerns, one of the issues. Third concern and issue is related to environment. Why it is related to environment? Because there are certain protected areas. For example, the Panna Tiger Reserve. And there will be felling of trees as well. So the forests, the tiger reserve, they will get impacted negatively. This Panna Tiger Reserve is known very prominently for conserving tigers. And not only tigers, there are endangered vultures, other species, gharials, fish, mashir fish, these kind of species are there. And if you are doing any kind of this river interlinking project without effective planning, without effective research, that may backfire in terms of environmental impacts. So these are the basic major concerns, major issues because of which the people were protesting over the Ken-Betwa project. UPSC won't ask you whether the people were protesting or what were the major demands of the people. UPSC will ask it connecting it to what extent the projects like Ken Betwa River Linking Project, to what extent they are sustainable from the perspective of human survival and environmental sustainability. This kind of interlinking UPSC will ask, and that is why I am trying to share with you on a daily. I will try to share with you on a daily basis 3 basic articles from the Hindu, which will actually help you learn this kind of interlinkages.